Welcome to Simple Scotch Reviews. Here we have Auchentoshan 12-year-old. It's a 12-year-old single malt Scotch whiskey from the Lowland region, bottled at 40% ABV. It's 12 years old, matured in bourbon casks, and finished in sherry, I believe. I don't think they mature it part in sherry and then blend them together. I think it's finished, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. It just mentions in the bottle that they have Oloroso casks and bourbon casks used in the production of this whiskey. Auchentoshan is all triple distilled, something that's unique to them. It's not only them, it's a process used by other distilleries, but they're just very proud and forthcoming with it. I believe, trying to think who else uses triple distillation in Scotland rather than Ireland. I think Hazelburn is the other main place that uses it. It might only be those two, but there could be others that I'm less familiar with. It's always a pleasure to do a lowland whiskey on here because they're not super common and always fun to do. Alright, on the nose of this whiskey I get floral notes. Honey, light brown sugar, vanilla. There's a darker note that is harder for me to place. So I took some notes, I spent some time with this whiskey, and I wasn't able to place what this darker note was at first. It's just kind of there. But then when I, read up on it, I looked at the packaging more. I didn't initially think it was this, but the packaging, they talk a lot about the nuttiness, the nutty flavors, and while that didn't even come close to mind, and at first I'm like, it's not nuttiness, the more time I spend with it, I think that it is a nutty flavor on the nose, aroma. And I also pick it up later in the finish of the whiskey. Let's take a taste. It's a sweet whiskey, sweet floral honey initially, but then those flavors kind of fade off and introduces some vanilla, brown sugar. I even get a hint of citrus in this whiskey. On the palate, yeah, sweet floral honey, brown sugar. Not really getting that hint of citrus I got before, so must be very faint if it is there. One thing that'll surprise you if you haven't had Auchentoshan, the finish is very long and lingering. It's oily. Triple distillation makes this whiskey oily, and it's not, the mouthfeel isn't necessarily like, ooh, it's oily. It's not. It's just because of the higher oil content in the whiskey, you notice it because the flavors linger a lot longer after you swallow. I enjoy this whiskey. The finish on this one, because it's so long, it reveals more as it goes on. The finish is sweet. There's a baking spice note, nondescript, that comes in the finish that I don't get earlier. And that baking spice note, maybe a warm cinnamon note or something. And then the maltiness shows up. Sweetness, then the spice, then the longer you let the finish linger, the maltiness shows up. It's nice. I do enjoy the finish of this whiskey, especially the lingering finish. I've had whiskeys where it's an unpleasant lingering finish. This one's a very pleasant lingering finish. Just checking my notes, see if I forgot anything from my prior tastings of it. Oh, yeah, that nutty note does pop up again on the finish. not in the palate. I get it on the nose, that nutty note, and then it shows up later in the finish, but I don't get it during that initial palate at all. Overall, this 12-year-old Auchentoshan is a very pleasant whiskey. I think that lots of people enjoy it, but I do know there are lots of people that hate on it and don't like Auchentoshan, and that's fine, but there are others who do. I think that if I had to pick a person that this whiskey would appeal to, is people who love unpeated whiskeys. It gives you another avenue to explore. I know some people think unpeated whiskey's boring because there's not as much complexity of flavor. There's a lot of very interesting, delicious unpeated whiskeys. It's just like Auchentoshan isn't. A lot of people, don't know about it. I know some of their whiskeys are available in a lot of places, but I don't get much for. It just, to me, presents another opportunity for people who want to explore unpeated whiskey to find a new flavor spectrum and flavor profile. It is unique with that triple distillation. The other option of triple distillation that I'd mentioned of Scotch whiskey is Hazelburn, which I believe does have peat. Remembering back, yeah. So it's a unique experience for Auchentoshan. You might like it, you might not, but I think if you especially if you stay on the unpeated whiskey side, you got to try this because it's going to be another possible valuable experience. You could really like it and want to explore more Auchentoshan. I really want to try the 18 and 21-year-old Auchentoshan. They're not available near me. I'll have to try to find them when I'm traveling. But between the three around here, which is Auchentoshan 12, Triple Wood, or 3 Wood, and American Oak, I prefer the 12-year-old. I like them all from memory, I believe. It's just I prefer the 12-year-old to the 3 Wood by a bit. The 3 Wood's very interesting. It's funny to see people's reaction because the nose on it's quite interesting, I find. But I recommend this whiskey, and I think everyone should try it, especially if you haven't gotten much into lowland whiskeys. There are some very nice lowland whiskeys out there. So try it, and hopefully you enjoy. Thanks for watching.